When someone's words don't quite match their actions, it's like they're holding a secret just out of reach. That subtle tension in their behavior often tells a story they're too afraid to share. In this video, I'm going to break down 10 phrases people often use when they're hiding their true feelings for you. These are carefully chosen words that act as shields to protect their vulnerability. By the end, you'll be able to decode their hidden emotions and understand what's really going on beneath the surface. Let's get straight to it. 1. I'm happy for you, when they don't look happy. When someone says, I'm happy for you, but their face says otherwise, it's often a sign of suppressed emotions. They might genuinely want to feel joy for your achievements, but their own feelings of jealousy, regret, or longing creep in. The forced smile and flat tone betray the truth they're trying to conceal. This behavior ties back to cognitive dissonance, when someone's internal feelings conflict with the image they're trying to project. For example, a close friend congratulating you on a new relationship might secretly wish they were in your shoes. Their words are polite, but their body language, the stiffness in their posture or avoidance of eye contact, gives them away. To spot this, pay attention to inconsistencies. Genuine happiness radiates through tone, gestures, and enthusiasm. If those elements are missing, there's more to the story than they're letting on. 2. I don't care, when they clearly do. The phrase, I don't care, is often a defensive mechanism, used to mask emotions like frustration, disappointment, or even love. When someone truly doesn't care, they're indifferent. But when this phrase is delivered with tension or avoidance, it's usually the opposite of what they feel. Consider the underlying psychology. This phrase is often a result of emotional suppression. People say it to shut down conversations that make them vulnerable. For instance, if you're talking about spending time with someone else and they respond with, I don't care, it might be their way of hiding jealousy or hurt. Don't be fooled by the surface meaning. Observe their behavior after they say it. Are they withdrawing, fidgeting, or suddenly quiet? These nonverbal cues often reveal the emotions they're trying to suppress. 3. We're just friends. When someone repeatedly emphasizes, we're just friends, it could be their way of convincing themselves, and you, that their feelings aren't deeper. This phrase is often overused when someone is afraid of ruining the relationship by admitting the truth. From a psychological standpoint, this stems from fear of rejection or loss. Declaring just friends allows them to maintain the connection while avoiding vulnerability. For example, someone might casually say this after a moment that feels intimate, like a lingering hug or an unspoken moment of eye contact. Actions speak louder than words. Do they go out of their way to be there for you? Are they protective, attentive, or overly invested in your life? If so, their words might be a cover for the emotions they're too scared to admit. 4. You deserve better. On the surface, you deserve better seems selfless and kind, but often it's a way of deflecting their own inadequacies or feelings of unworthiness. They might believe they're not good enough for you and use this phrase to distance themselves while appearing noble. This behavior ties into self-esteem issues. Research shows that people with low self-worth often sabotage relationships because they fear eventual rejection. By saying, you deserve better, they're preemptively protecting themselves from the pain of being left behind. To understand what's behind this statement, ask yourself, are they stepping back even when you've shown you value them? If so, their words are less about you and more about their inner struggles. 5. I'm too busy right now. When someone frequently uses I'm too busy right now to avoid spending time with you, it could be an excuse to mask their fear of getting closer. While being busy is sometimes genuine, repeated use of this phrase without follow-up actions to reconnect suggests emotional avoidance. This avoidance often stems from emotional overwhelm. People who are afraid of their feelings may create distance to avoid confronting them. For example, they might cancel plans last minute or dodge meaningful conversations under the guise of being busy. Look at their priorities. If they make time for others or trivial activities but not for you, it's a sign that I'm too busy is more about their emotional walls than their schedule. 6. You're overthinking it. The phrase, you're overthinking it, is often used to dismiss concerns that hit too close to home. When someone feels cornered by a question or observation that exposes their true feelings, they might downplay your insight by labeling it as overthinking. This is a classic deflection tactic. It shifts the focus from their emotions to your supposed over-analysis. For instance, if you point out inconsistencies in their behavior and they respond with this phrase, it's likely because you're onto something they're not ready to admit. Pay attention to the context. If your observations are based on clear patterns and their reaction is defensive, you're overthinking it is their way of protecting their emotional facade. 7. I'm glad we can be honest with each other. While this sounds like a positive statement, it can sometimes be a veiled attempt to gauge your feelings without revealing their own. By emphasizing honesty, they're subtly fishing for clues about how you feel without putting their heart on the line. This behavior reflects emotional caution. People who fear rejection often use indirect approaches to test the waters. For instance, they might say this after you share something vulnerable, hoping you'll reciprocate with feelings that align with theirs. Notice how often they bring up the theme of honesty. If it feels excessive or pointed, it might be less about mutual transparency and more about their hidden feelings. 8. I want you to be happy. At first glance, I want you to be happy seems supportive and genuine, but when repeated in situations where their happiness might be compromised, it's often a sign of suppressed emotions. They're prioritizing your happiness over their own, possibly because they don't believe their feelings will be reciprocated. This phrase often arises in unspoken love scenarios. For instance, if you're dating someone else and they say this, it's likely their way of masking pain while maintaining a supportive front. It's self-sacrificing, but also a way to keep their emotions hidden. Ask yourself, does their behavior align with their words? If they seem overly invested in your happiness to the point of neglecting their own, their feelings might run deeper than they're letting on. 9. I'm not good at this kind of thing. When someone says, I'm not good at this kind of thing, it's often a way of avoiding emotional conversations. They're indirectly admitting their feelings while simultaneously excusing themselves from vulnerability. This phrase reflects a fear of rejection or embarrassment. For instance, they might say this when you ask about their intentions or feelings. It's not that they lack the ability to express themselves, it's that they're afraid of the consequences of doing so. If you hear this often, consider the timing. Are they saying it in moments that require emotional honesty? If so, it's a sign they are hiding behind this excuse to protect themselves. 10. I don't want to ruin what we have. The phrase, I don't want to ruin what we have, is often a preemptive defense against vulnerability. They fear that revealing their true feelings might disrupt the current dynamic, even if it means suppressing their emotions. This sentiment is rooted in loss aversion. Research shows that people are more motivated to avoid losses than to achieve gains. In this context, they'd rather keep the status quo than risk losing the connection altogether. For instance, a longtime friend might say this when faced with the possibility of taking your relationship to the next level. The question to ask yourself is, are they truly content with what we have, or are they settling for less to avoid confrontation? Their hesitance often reveals the depth of their unspoken feelings. If someone you know uses these phrases, it's not always about the words themselves, but the emotions behind them. Pay attention to their actions, their tone, and what they're not saying. True feelings often hide in the spaces between words. If you have made it this far, let us know what you think in the comments section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.